Good evening, everybody. Fly Mackey here with Smart Money Culture Television, broadcasting out of the great state of Texas, Louisiana, Florida, and coming this Friday, Washington, D.C. Congratulations, Smart Money Culture Television. We're very excited to be broadcasting out in America land. It's very exciting. Anyway, let's take a look. Oh yeah. No, we're scaling our business. We're scaling the business. We were with a network earlier today. Now we're a small network. We're on a very a 22-year-old television foundation network station in Texas, and they have been amazing, and we're going to be with them for a long time, and we're growing and scaling our network. And I'm telling you, I was told by a station owner who has a couple of hundred stations a while back. He said TV is it's a series of emergencies that happens all the time, and then you run into lots of successes in between in between those emergencies, but it's ongoing all the time. It's just a lot of fun, but you have to be prepared for the pressure. It's television. So we're enjoying ourselves. We're scaling the business. We should be, we're learning how to scale across the country, and our goal is to be in all 220 direct marketing areas that the FCC has designated. That's why they're called direct marketing areas, and the FCC governs over those, or the Federal Communications Commission. And we've been vetted. We've been in the business for a while, and we're very excited. We were one of the first Bitcoin radio shows in America almost 8 years ago now. We were one of the first television shows. Of course, Yahoo Finance and those guys had like hour-long programs, but we did an entire channel dedicated to Bitcoin. Oh, I was the only guy up there too. I'd play other people's stuff, but I was the only guy. I'd get up there and talk for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours sometimes. It was incredible. And I had lots of fun, and I'd bring my dog Capone. You can't see, I have Capone's son Blue with me today in studio. And let me see here. Hold on a second. Let's get rid of Mr. Adam Schiff there for a second. Try not to get too political here. We're a God first, and people say, who know me say, I don't know about that. God first, we faith, family. Your business, we like that too. We're a staunch defender of free speech and the right of self-defense, to be able to defend yourself. Anyway, we're very excited about what's happening out in TV land, and we were one of the very first Bitcoin television channels in America. We'd get out there and we'd talk about Bitcoin, and I'd travel around to events and stuff, and people called me stupid. We'd have our bank account shut down. We were being investigated all the time. And you learn how to be pretty clean. We've had good businesses and bad businesses. We've had great successes and lots of failure. And we've learned, as I was saying earlier, we have had, I was with a television station owner. And we're a little guy. Okay. We have 5 locations, 6 Tallahassee coming online, and another channel coming live here shortly, right next to our great president. So we're really excited about that. But anyway, we've had some great successes and some great failures. And I was told by a TV station owner, I call them the big boys and the big girls, the ones who have big businesses saying, it's a series of emergencies in the TV business, and with continued success. So you have to get used to the failures and to enjoy the successes. But the one thing that they mentioned was you never quit, never quit. And we've had businesses that have not done very good and have lost tons of money. And we tell the biggest lessons that I think we've learned is just don't quit. You only lose when you quit. So never quit. And that's our goal. We've been called all kinds of names as we scaled our business. Of course, that's business. Some people will love you and some people will hate you, but it is what it is. And we're continuing to grow all the time. And I was with a TV station owner. And you know what? The TV station owners it's a small club. And I can say that they're probably some of one of the things they teach you when you take speech is don't say I say it all the time. I was with some content creators, and the subject was, well, you're older and people are going to look at you and say, hey, you're more credible. And what I say is what makes you credible is continuing to create content. When you create content, you're going to have great success. And when you stick with it, you'll have great success. And one of the things, I just reached out to an old friend of ours named Christopher Inks. If you guys get to follow him, West Texas Capital, this guy is amazing. I learned, Amber and I learned more from him, I think, in a few months than, of course, I learned in a lifetime, because I never knew these kind of things that he teaches. And he's an amazing teacher. I highly recommend that, you go look him up. And he's on Twitter and Instagram, and he's got West Texas Capital. He's got a site, and he does he's just an excellent teacher. Okay. Anyway, to get off of that, I promote all the time. But I was with these content creators, and one of the things that we were talking about was credibility. And I think if you're passionate, and I talk to young folks and old folks alike all the time, if you're passionate about a subject, then turn on your camera. It's this easy. I don't know if you guys can see my cell phone there. You turn on the camera and you just start talking. And one of the things where you have ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, the big boys and the big girls. Oh, I am the legacy media, and I'm still a huge fan. I mean, they've been around for a long time, and I'm a big fan of the big networks. Okay, one of the things is they started losing some of their viewership. Now, some of that's come back, but they've lost a lot of their viewership, and so people are, where do you get your news? And you get a lot of the news from social media, sites like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or X. There's just a lot of other sites. You got content creators like Joe Rogan, just to name a few, just great content creators who, when they talk, you can take it to the bank that these guys know what they're talking about and that they're doing a good job. And they do their research. They're paying attention to the stories. There's a Clayton and his wife called Redacted. I like that show. I haven't always been a big fan of Megyn Kelly, but I have been this last year. As soon as she went and got her own show, outside of legacy media, big media, then her whole attitude it changed and demeanor changed, and I think was healthy for her as a journalist. And there's a lot of great journalists out there now who are what's called independent news creators. And you don't have to work for big legacy television or any network at all to be the media. You're the media. So a few years ago when we first started, we reached out to the early days of President Trump, and we got approved to come and be a White House correspondent for a limited time. Let me tell you something. I was like, there's a lot of great things that you can do in media. Okay, you can't do them all, but you can try them all. And if they fit, then I was told if they fit, then do it. And if they don't fit, then don't do it again. But we've had a lot of fun in our few years that we've been in business, and like I said, we've had lots of failures here. For those of you just joining us, we're not going to go to commercial break. We may go later, but I'm going to be on for about another 39 minutes, and then we'll call it a night. And I'm Fly Mackey. I'm the host of the Fly Mackey Show here on Smart Money Culture Television. And we talk about credit, getting 0% business credit cards, funding your business. We play shows from Jack McCall. We have a new content creator named Adam Rust who's coming on, who's an amazing credit stacker and helping you get credit. We're talking about business credit, not personal credit. And we have Jane King, who reports out of the NASDAQ a couple of times a week, who does, for 22 years. She's an amazing personality. Dustin Plantholt, who's up there in DC, who and he's in Davos now. Yeah, Davos now, and has done some great interviews, which we'll be getting here shortly. And he's always talking to kings and princesses and premiers and just billionaires and actors and athletes and people of influence. And he does some really wonderful. I'm a big fan of Dustin's, if you can't tell. He does some great interviews. And then, we have a guy who does the IRS. So everything about, he's one of the leading experts here in America with the IRS and how to get how to deal with the IRS. Now, Trump is, I believe, they talked about that they may eliminate income tax. They may eliminate the IRS. And because he just implemented again the ERS, the External Revenue Service. Yeah, the External Revenue Service. And that's going to be incredible because, he's going to bring in trillions, hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars, which is the way it should be. It's just like if you're on this network, you have to pay to be on the network. You pay to play, so to speak. That's how they call it, because no business is free. Same way here in America. If you want to do business in America, then you should pay to do business in America. We shouldn't be suffering as a country. And I'm not going to get political, but this is just business. We shouldn't be suffering as a country and business, and while other countries and foreign businesses, take advantage of the system, buy all our land, they take our technology, they take jobs, they sell their products here to us, and we try to sell, when we go to sell our products in their countries, they tariff us to death, so to speak. So it's just, I think we're on the right track. I mean, I know we're on the right track with tariffing. Presidents before President Trump have done it. In the early 1900s, we were so wealthy as a country because people had to pay to do business here in the United States. And so we have Hubert Johnson, who's the tax guy. And then, of course, you have yours truly, who does, talks about crypto and real estate stuff and, how to do velocity banking. We have Stephen Nagy and Christopher Noggle, who are going to come on, and we're in their team, and they're going to be doing shows regularly here on the network. And we're totally stoked about having those guys because they do what's called infinite banking concepts. And, when you learn velocity banking saved us as a company. They saved us because you learn strategies that they don't teach you in school. They don't even teach this stuff in business school. They don't teach it. Now, if you go to Wharton or some of the bigger Ivy League schools, some of the famous schools, I guess you could call it, around the world or here in the US, and I'm guessing they probably teach stuff like that, but they don't teach it in regular school. You don't learn about velocity banking and how to, leverage credit, which is so super important because our country here it's a system that is run on credit and debt. So when you learn to create debt and you learn how to use your credit, and then how to live on your cash flow and continue to grow your business, it's incredible. I mean, it saved us. And we've had times where, as a business, I'm digressing a little bit, but I have a few minutes here. We've had times as a company where, we were completely broke. And if it wasn't for credit, we wouldn't have been able to keep the lights on. And we've had partners who stuck with us and who have suffered. They've suffered through our inadequacies, I guess you could say, as a business, because they're not teaching. There's no book or guide to teach you, hey, this is what you do, A, B, C, D. And because the school of hard knocks, I mean, when you start a business, let me tell you this. I've worked for other people, and I've, poor most of my life, worked for other people, and I've owned businesses, and I'd rather work for myself. But I can tell you that running a business can be very stressful on your partners, for sure. Especially, when you stretch things out and, you're like, okay, yeah, it's coming. And those days are never come soon enough, But anyway, we're scaling our business. We're moving the business along. We're very excited for what's happening. I'm hoping we can bring and we want some young content creators. So if you're watching out there in Houston or Corpus Christi or College Station, Beaumont, Texas, Lake Charles, Louisiana, Tallahassee, Florida, or Washington, D.C., or if you happen to be on our site, the couple of hundred that are on our site right now watching us, then we have hardly any social media presence. If you go to our social media sites, we have a very small following, and hardly anybody ever watches our shows on social media. But we have an audience that comes to our website, and that's called digital marketing, and which the first several years in business we didn't know anything about. I mean, people always said you should have a website, and you go, what for? You see some of the, but anyway, the digital marketing, is where you can have just as good a presence on your digital marketing as you can have on television. And the legacy media is proof of that. You have the networks like ABC and Fox News who have a much greater, they have a bigger audience on their social sites than they do, and their website, than they do watching the TV on the broadcast television. Is it going to be the death of broadcast TV? Well, I'm not a betting guy, but if I was a betting guy, I would say, yeah, the the death of the big media is coming. It's coming to a new age, and that model that they have there is going to have to change, and they're fighting it all the way to the end. One of the things that I am proud of, though, is that these networks that are asking President Trump questions, and this isn't political. This is just coming from like a journalist point of view, somebody who owns a network like myself. Our point of view is, I think it's incredible how the reporters are being more respectful this time, and I don't think President Trump and his team are going to put up with it anyway. But I noticed some podcasters and some independent journalists that were at one of his press meetings, and I think that is the way that it's going to go. So you're going to have, and I'm digressing a little bit, but I'm doing what President Trump said. You go here and go here, and you bring it back in, right? So I think when we was talking with some content creators and they were young, I'm like, no, you get credibility by filming yourself and creating stories. And the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, because that's the way it works. And so you just have to put yourself out there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we've had shows that have been disastrous. I was doing a velocity banking show, and I was in front of a whiteboard, and I was going over all these numbers, and I go, yeah, something's wrong with this. It's not adding up. And this is live TV, like it is right now, live TV. And so I'm like, okay, hold on a second. And then I went up, and Christy Van is another one too, does velocity banking. We play a lot of her videos, and we're breaking down, the content that she provides. And I was doing this velocity banking show, and I was totally screwed it up. And I said, hold on. And I went and pulled up one of her videos. It was an 18-minute, still remember, it was an 18-minute video. We played the video, and then I said, that's how you do it. Okay. And that's the way it works. Live TV, man. You make mistakes. You do what you do, but I'd rather do live TV than recorded shows. And so as I was talking to these content creators, and those of you who are listening out there in your home, sitting back, eating some popcorn and drinking your soda or water or whatever, just remember, if you want to do something, you got to start it. And there's a lot of great content creators. So let's get back to that point where I think becoming independent journalists, and then independent journalists joining the networks that they want to join. So we've reached out. So we're going that direction, where we're going to be bringing on some independent journalists to be able to report what they want to report on our network. And one of the things I was talking to a content creator about, what they call them independent journalists too nowadays, is that, when you go on the internet, they're pretty wild. They're slinging stuff. And even though it may be good, true, and some pretty awesome content, when you bring it over to TV, you're expecting something different, because you have, little kids all the way up to grandpa like me watching TV. So you had to think of the broader network. And this is one of the conversations that we were having with some of these content creators. And I was trying to explain, one of you guys and gals need to take my place. And that would be great. You don't always know, the vanity wants you in front of the mirror, in front of the cameras. But of course, there's nothing wrong with replacing yourself and duplicating yourself. So anyway, we're growing as a TV network. And once again, you guys and gals out there who own a business and who struggle, just know this is just the way it works. You're going to have a whole series of emergencies, a whole series of great successes, and they intertwine. And something that I've been saying for many years is, emergencies don't come with invitations. They don't come with invitations. Okay. So they just happen. So you better be prepared. And as we were talking to a network that, that we're on, and another one that we're joining, is that, they were talking about their equipment being second to none, because the low powered stations we're on 6 low powered television stations. We're joining a 7th one. It's a low powered television station, but the equipment is just like ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, Disney, CNN, MSNBC. Those networks are run. The picture and the equipment are second to none, and so and you can look just like they do. So that's important, that you have great equipment. You can be the smallest company in the world and you can look like just like everybody else, which is important, which is the conversation we were having, where the station owner said, well, we have the best equipment you can get. And as a network, we're what's called a television network, but we don't own any FCC licensed stations yet. I was explaining to him, is just the same as has the top grade equipment, we have built an infrastructure here, which is what you do. You build your foundation. And then, by the way, when I got my first channel 7 years ago, 7 years ago, going on 8 years now, but 7 years and some months, I bought a channel and I had no clue what I was doing. Vanity. It's all vanity. You get into something and go, I can do that. And then you realize, oh boy, maybe I should have thought this through a little bit. But that's how you do business. If you just jump in, because if you don't start, you never will. That I can tell you, guys and gals, and men and women out there, my buddies and not my buddies. The only way you're going to do a business is if you start today. Just do it. You don't have to be an expert at it. And this, once again, going back to that what we were talking to the content creators about, is you got to start somewhere. Let's take a look at some news on X a little bit here. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'll switch this over here. I'm gonna make my Pete. I think they're going to confirm this guy. This guy right here, the Wolf of All Streets. This guy is an incredible talent. Recommended to follow him. It's called the Wolf of All Streets, and his name is Scott Melker. And Scott is an amazing human being, but a world-class charter and crypto extraordinaire. That is for sure. The other one is this guy right here, Christopher Inks. Christopher Inks is another an amazing. He owns Texas West Capital. Christopher Inks is an amazing technical analyst, world-class technical analyst. And I've learned a lot from him. And matter of fact, everything that I learned was from him and Scott and a few others, but I would say 99% came from Christopher Inks. This guy is world-class in what he teaches. And he's a pretty super nice guy too, on top of that. Let's see what's going on here with the little news here. There's Mr. Christopher. Look at Elon. Elon does not hold back. That guy, he's something else. Oh yeah. Well, I 100% agree with this, that all new laws requiring, proposes that a new law requiring all bills in Congress to be publicly accessible online at least a week in advance of any vote. That is so much common sense. There's a lot of common sense there. It makes total sense. Why would you not do that? Why would you not be transparent? That's a great idea, 100%. Sidney Powell, this lawyer right here, she was thrown off Twitter. She's asking to get back on. She'll get back on. Well, Dan Bongino is not going to become Secret Service director because President Trump just named his personal bodyguard, I'm pretty sure, the new Secret Service director. Dan Bongino would do a great job, of course. He was a Secret Service agent for years. Here's Christopher Inks. Look at this. Netflix pops up 14.5% at the open with a double beat on earnings after market closed yesterday. That pop carried it to a new all-time high of $999. Wow. Can you say wow? Look at this charting. You see how Christopher does this charting here? And by the way, this guy's world class. World class. You'll see me do these lanes right here. I learned that from him. Now, my charting is simple. I don't give advice either. This guy is world class. But you see these lanes right here where he has these lanes of where it's traveling. Once you get an eye for that, you get an eye for that, and you see where these coins or companies are traveling, then you get a good sense of, where it's heading. Yeah, not even one government building was half occupied. President Trump did an executive order and said, show up. They're going to get fired. They're going to wind up canceling about 80%. I would say, and I'm 100% for this, that we need to eliminate the IRS, Department of Education, a few of the CIA should probably go. The FBI should probably go. They should be, because, and with that said, because there's other agencies that could take their place. They've been so corrupt. The, people don't take that lightly, when you say things like that, of course. But those agencies, in my opinion, should go. We should get rid of them. The FBI, definitely the Department of Health, CIA, the IRS. He just implemented, again, after like 80 years, the External Revenue Service. We should be collecting money from other countries and other businesses from other countries who do business here, not taxing Americans. I'm 100% for, we should get rid of our tax system here. They tax us to death. There's some new stories coming up. Well, I don't want to get into that. Who cares what she is? Who cares? Yeah. Seniors should not. By the way, listen. This bugs me, kinda. This bugs me. If we have a system, the Social Security system, that if they would privatize that, or at least take the money that they tax us on and put it into a private fund with our name on it, they could do it easy and just let that money grow over the period of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We'd all be millionaires. We have a system here in the United States where everyone could be a millionaire. Easy. Easier said than done, but it could definitely be done. Yeah, 100% agree with that. No. Nobody's leaving the country. Yeah, we've got to stop the transgender stuff in the military. I'm not against any of these folks. I don't have a dog in the fight, so to speak. But yeah, you got to stop all that DEI stuff. Let's look at these new posts that are here. Let's see what they are. Look at this, Houston, Texas, 27 degrees. We're our channel. You know, we happen to be in the great state of Texas, right here in Houston, with our largest television channel here in the great state, in the great city of Houston, Texas. Yeah. Stay put. Yeah. Asking a Texan to stay put, yeah, is like asking a Texan don't eat steak. It's incredible. This is Elon parody. Already seen this. Already seen that. Let's see what Marjorie Taylor says. Well, this is what we were talking about earlier, where the press doesn't ask honest, legitimate questions. You know, they push these narratives that aren't true, and you know, and then we have to listen to it. While they even answer these questions, I wouldn't even answer them. Yeah, this guy right here. You know, Russia is asking him to be extradited. This is a true story. They're asking for him to be expedited because of all the Russians that were killed because of him and his vaccines that they say he's a part of. Of course, President Biden just pardoned him, and you know, you have Dr. Fauci, who's been pardoned by President Biden all the way back to when they started those biochemical labs in Ukraine, you know, like 14 years ago or whatever it was, you know, back in 2004, 2005, whatever. My dates may be wrong on that, but it was, they pardoned him all the way going back to that. And there's a lot of folks that's not just unhappy with this guy. No. Yeah, we need to do this. I'm 100% for this. Withdrawing from the World Health Organizations. These folks make us sick. They spray us. They've been making us sick. These vaccines, they've been, you know, come on now. We should be, by now, we should have, you know, no diseases in the world. You know, all these things should have been cured a long time ago. And there are cures for everything, like the cancer. You know, you're going to find out that AIDS was a man-made disease. Cancer, man-made. Yeah. Autism, definitely, because of, and it's proven, autism. You have 1 in 500,000 kids, you know, 30 years ago would be autistic. Now it's 1 in 34. What does that tell you? Not a big fan. I'm not giving any advice, but I'm not a big fan of vaccines. Just don't take them. You do what you want to do, but the you know, these here in America, they want us sick. We're all sick. You know, the latter part of your life, you have you're healthy, and then we get fat. Like I'm fat. I think they call me fluffy, but we're, you know, and this stuff is hard to get off. The food is pure poison. Just, if you don't believe me, just turn and look at the ingredients on any package that you buy. We won't get into that conversation today. We're not against anybody, but you know, you should pay attention to what goes in your body. And I was with a group today, and we were talking about the food, and the lady tells me, well, even if our food is poison, if you eat, you know, a lot less, and she was recommending like eat like a third of what you normally eat, then, you know, you're going to lose weight. You're going to lose weight. You're going to be healthier. You're going to have less poison in you. And it all made sense. But eating a third, she's like, you just got to cut down. That's the way it is. You just have to cut down. there's some new posts here before we get to them. Yeah, I don't know about this guy. I feel a little sad for him. Let's see what Mr. Al Sharpton, like, who cares what he, I mean, okay, go ahead and boycott. This guy, Steve Inman, and this is good news. This is why you get a lot of good news on social media, especially on X. We may go to some the Benny Johnson feed. This guy right here, I can't play his stuff because he cusses a lot, but he has amazing content. Let's look at some of the new posts, okay? This is an hour-long show. Hold on. Get into a little bit.
In some places, it's unprecedented.
Florida, yeah, Destin, Pensacola, 7.5, 10 inches. I mean, oh my God.
It's at least a once in a lifetime storm, if not like a once in 10 lifetimes.
That Christopher Inks, he's something else. Let's watch this a little bit.
Hopefully, I'm just glad I didn't have to drive anywhere. There's ice all over the roads here in Houston because they don't know what to do.
Yeah, I saw a tweet yesterday that said, "Look, Donald Trump solved global warming day one."
Oh my God,
that was pretty clever. Yeah, it's been. We knew that this week was going to be jam packed, but we didn't have any idea how jam packed. And it just goes to show you, Trump can move at lightning speed across a multitude of fronts. And that's going to be really hard to keep up with, hard to pigeonhole, as we've seen with like the traditional media and how they try to paint it one way, and he's 5 steps ahead. And it's going to be interesting to see all the developments that he implements in the first 90 days for sure, because this is his last shot to make change, and I think a lot of people are behind him this time to help him make change on pretty much every front that can be changed. So yeah, it's unprecedented. I think the thing that caught me off guard the most was the Trump token and then the Melania token. That sent the crypto Twitter spaces into a tailspin. It was pretty funny and entertaining to watch.
Oh man, and as with all, there's a deep pullback after that ridiculous run up, and people are like, oh, they're rugging, and I'm like, what do you? It doesn't make any sense. That thing just shot up like how much? 280,000% in like 24 hours or something. It was stupid.
Well,
and that's the way it works. So remember that, because I was talking with a young fella who was trading, and I was showing him in the charting. I said, pay attention to this, because when it goes up like this, you're going to have a retracement. Typically, you're going to have somewhere between 10 to 80% of a retracement of the gain. And when it went up from $25 to or $17 to $35, I said, watch, this is going to retrace that from the $17. You can watch my show. From $17 to $35, it's going to come back to about $22, $25, somewhere around there. And it did. It came back down to 20, just under 25, and then it popped back up again, up into 35, and then went 27 up to $55. I said, now watch, this is going to retrace probably, based on my charting, about 35%. I was thinking it was going to come back about 35, and it did. And it actually came back. It came back about 70% of that gain, and then it popped itself, and it pretty much stayed there. It's been around 37, 36, 37 dollars for the last couple of days. But Christopher's right. It went up by thousands of percent. Of course, it's going to retrace. Let's listen to a little bit more of his talking here. Okay.
Well, listen, if anything,
told us that Bitcoin could go to 700,000 about 45 minutes ago.
Yeah.
He's in Davos, and his
Hold on, let's
Bitcoin
listen to
new
that.
Trump coin. I think Melania coin was a big mistake. I think he should have not kept. He diluted his own value is the point. Kept all that value centralized. And if we saw a consolidation from all the other coins, the meme coins, into Trump coin, great. That's it. It's actually a leg up on our reputation as a legitimate marketplace. People don't have to look at fart coin being in the top 25 anymore.
So, Andrew, do you agree with Tillman then that you should sell all your Bitcoin and go all in on Trump coin? I think that's what I understood him saying.
It's a couple things. The weather in meme coins, as it relates to this podcast, are irrelevant, given that Larry Fink just told us that Bitcoin could go to 700,000 about 45 minutes ago.
Yeah.
He's in Davos, and his Bitcoin evangelism continues, and it seems to no end. It's just remarkable to see a guy like that be in with, he's waist deep at this point into it. Not only did he say that, Bitcoin is an uncorrelated asset, and if you have any concerns whatsoever about your country's debt issues, your currency, whatever it happens to be, any sort of catastrophic anything, you should own a sizable portion of it. There's now the conversations that he says that they're having with clients are 2 to 5% allocations. And then on top of that, he says, listen, tokenizing real world assets, if we could do that tomorrow, it would radically change access to the markets for the everyday man. So this guy is as all in on the world of digital assets and Bitcoin in particular as has ever been. And
I can say this too. So Larry Fink, him and State Street and Vanguard own about 88% of all the shares, or the companies, you might as well just say shares, of the Fortune 500 on the NASDAQ. And, in any given day, BlackRock owns 25% of all the currency that trades hands. So if you're not familiar with the Dixie, go get familiar with the DXY. And it's the DXY, it's a weighted basket of coins against the dollar. And they own about 25%. Listen to this. BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, particularly under the umbrella of BlackRock, owns 25%. Listen to this, of all the currency that trades hands on a daily basis in the world. They own it, which is incredible. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying they own it. And so when you have a player that big who controls 30% of the world, because they own about 31% of the world. It's hard to believe, but it's the truth. And here's another thing too, is BlackRock and Vanguard, State Street are buying up a lot of, as fast as they can, single family homes. I think they bought like 400,000 homes last year in 24 in the United States. Their goal is, I believe, is 2 million homes this year, something like that. It may be much bigger than that, but their goal is to take all the single family homes off the market and then turn them into rentals so that you can't own a house. Anyway, when you have players that have that kind of influence and that kind of power and, purchasing power, really more than anything, is that, you know, they take the crypto market, and they're the institutional buyers and sellers, or the institutional companies are the ones who are really taking over. Christopher Inc. and his group, they're smart guys there. He's a good guy to follow, in my opinion. We've got about 1 minute left here in, yeah, we've got about 1 minute left here. We're going to go off the air now. I'm Fly Mackey with Smart Money Culture Television Network. We'll see you on the TV near you soon. Y'all have a great night.